We're approaching the beginning of the academic year, and what that means is that masses of young people are heading off to university and flying the nest. What that also means is that many parents will be suffering from something called empty nest syndrome.
Well, I've got 3 children. There's big gaps between them. Sophie is now 31, Jack's 23, but my youngest, who's 19, is off to university any minute now. And for me, I think, if I'm honest at the moment, it's 50-50. I'm really excited for her, I'm really proud of her, and I'm very excited about her being there and that stage of our relationship. But it does mean that the first Monday after she goes, I wake up in the morning and it's just me and John. And that's weird. And I honestly don't know how it's going to feel.
Some recent research commissioned by Ensley showed that, perhaps not surprisingly, a very large number of young people and their parents are going to keep in touch by the internet, about 75% or 3/4. Now, of those, about 35% of young people say that they're actually friends on Facebook with their mum and dad. Texting, you won't be surprised to know, is very much the form of communication favoured by virtually everybody. And I think if there are any mums and dads who don't know how to text, well, where have you been? You really need to learn.
When Sophie left home, aged 18, not only had we gone through her whole school days without a mobile phone, in those days, the use of it wasn't as frequent or prevalent as it is now, which makes it sound as though there were horse-drawn carriages outside. But we did still find ways to communicate and keep in touch. And we're blessed these days with fantastic ways of keeping in touch that are instant and non-intrusive. I think things like mobile phones and emails are fantastic because it brings you both into the same time zone for a start, and realistically as a student you're not quite living in the same world as the rest of us. And it also means that the messages can be waiting.
One of the very interesting things that the research shows is the huge uptake in the use of the internet when it comes to practical things like, how to boil an egg or how to roast a joint. It's not that long ago that I can remember my stepson ringing us up and saying, here's a leg of lamb and it's my turn to do the cooking and I haven't a clue what to do with it. I think now he'd be going onto YouTube or Videojug and would find out very quickly and effectively.
Martha is taking, I think it's either officially or maybe it comes second now, the world's largest shoe collection. And she's also, of course, taking a laptop and a mobile and an iPod and all that technical gear too. So I've already said to her, make sure that stuff is safe. Keep it with you at all times. Never assume that the person next to you is not the person sitting next to the person who might nick it, because the last thing we want to have to do is replace all that stuff frequently. Of course, we know we're backed up by insurance, so we can replace it, but I'd like her to take a bit of responsibility for keeping it close as well. That way we're both covered.
The research shows that the average student is walking around with £1,300 worth of stuff on their person, the laptop, the mobile phone, and so on.
Well, this is the time of no excuses for me, because there are things I've always said I'd like to do more of when I had more time, and I'm looking at quite a chunk of time, I think, coming up. I'm going to join a choir, actually, because I love singing. I rehearsed recently for a friend's birthday party, and it reinforced the fact that I really like doing that. And rehearsing one evening a week and not having to dash back to make supper for quite a few people, and then the people I didn't know were coming as well, is a luxury.
If you're a parent and your son or daughter is off to university, then you can find out lots more information, including some hints and tips that I've put together on empty nest syndrome, and they're all on ensley.co.uk.